president has finally released a birth certificate. I'd want to look at it, but I hope it's true, so that we can get on to much more important matters, so the press can stop asking me questions. He should have done it a long time ago. Why he didn't do it when the Clintons asked for it, why he didn't do it when everybody else was asking for it, I don't know. But I am really honored, frankly, to have played such a big role in hopefully getting rid of this issue. Now, we have to look at it. We have to see, is it real? Is it proper? What's on it? But I hope it checks out beautifully. I am really proud. I am really honored. Now we can talk about oil. We can talk about gasoline prices. We can talk about China ripping off this country. We can talk about OPEC doing numbers on us like nobody has ever done before. We can get on to issues, and hopefully when I sit down with interviews, people don't start talking about birth certificate, like they've been doing. So I feel I've accomplished something really, really important. And
the president,
people asked me for my birth certificate, and I gave it 2 days later.
Mr. Trump, you said yesterday, you said 2 days ago, we hear that it's missing. Before that, you said you wouldn't believe what my investigators on the ground are saying. Do the people in this country now need to doubt the information you're being given? Were you making this up? Where did this information come from?
No, I think what you're going to see, first we have to look at the certificate, but I am really happy that this has finally taken place, because we have some issues that are unbelievably important.
But you didn't answer my question, sir. You said we...
I think I did. No, I did.
You heard it was missing.
What are your qualifications to assess this? You say you have to look at it, you have to decide. What gives you the authority,
Well, I'm going to look at it, and many other people are going to look at it. You're going to have many people looking at it, and obviously they're going to have to make a decision, because it is rather amazing that all of a sudden it materializes. But I hope it's the right deal. I hope it's the right deal. We have to look at it. A lot of people have to look at it. Experts will look at it, and I am really happy. And honestly, I'm very proud that I was able to bring this to a point. Nobody else was. The Clintons during their campaign weren't. All of the other people that talked about it, for years they weren't. I am really honored by this. Okay, next question.
What do you think this says, though, right now? If it's not true, for example, does it mean the country is led by an illegal president? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, let's hope it is true. I don't want to answer that question because it's too negative.
It may not be true.
Honestly, the question is so negative. At this point, I don't want to answer that question because you're asking a very negative question. If it's not true, if it's not really his birth certificate, I don't want to answer that. I hope it's true. And the reason I hope it's true, because we have very big problems in this country. This country is suffering right now. I mean, I have people, they can't get gasoline in their tank. They're topping out their tank because they can't afford to do it properly. They've never had this before. You look at resorts around the country. They're not doing any business because people don't drive. And then if you look at Saudi Arabia, what they did, it's unbelievable. 3 days ago, they announced essentially that they're going to raise the price of oil by cutting back on production. And we have nobody to speak to these people. We have nobody that calls or talks and says, you're not going to do it, fellas. We're protecting you. You wouldn't be there except for us. We have nobody. Now, yesterday, our president said that he has very little impact over the price of gasoline. I think he's 100% wrong, because OPEC is setting the price of fuel. We have oil all over the place, all over the place. Every ship at sea is loaded up with oil. They don't know where to dump it. And yet every day we're setting records. And pretty soon we're going to be at that 150 a barrel, the all-time record. Now, when the president says he has no power over that, I mean, it's pretty sad. Nations, they wouldn't even be there except for us. You take a look at Kuwait. I mean, we handed Kuwait back to the people that right now essentially own Kuwait, because it's really ownership more than anything else. We handed it back. They never paid us. You look at these nations, Saudi Arabia, we protect them. And then they want to raise the price of fuel. It's not high enough. So it would be very easy and very quick to get gasoline prices down. Gasoline prices are at $4, $5. They're going to $6 and $7 as sure as you're standing there.
You're in New Hampshire
Trump,
today.
Yes.
Mr. Trump, in terms of credibility, you came up here once in a black helicopter in 1988 and you were running as a Democrat. Why should people, what makes you a
No, I
Republican?
wasn't. Let me just tell you, it's sort of interesting because New Hampshire's been a very special place. I came up in 1988 or 89, a long time ago, as a favor to a friend of mine, and I made a speech. But it's a place that I've always liked, and I've been to actually many times, New Hampshire. And in making the speech, everyone thought I was running for president. As you know, I wasn't running for president. I never said I was running for president. I made a speech on success for a friend of mine around 1988. And the buzz was unbelievable because it happened to be New Hampshire. And it was sometime prior to primary season. So, in a way, New Hampshire sort of got me started. Sort of interesting. But I did come up in 1988. I made a speech. It was really a speech on success, much so, more so than politics. In fact, I don't know if politics played a role in the speech. And it was great. It really did. It sort of got me started. But I did that speech actually for a friend. I didn't do it because I was running, because I wasn't running.
Why should people think you're a Republican? That's what I'm asking you. So why should people think you're a Republican?
Well, I am a Republican. I'm a very strong Republican, and I've been a Republican for a long while, and I'm proud of it. And I think that I'm quite conservative as a Republican. And if you look at the polls, I mean, I just saw 2 more polls today where I'm leading the polls. And I think the fact that I was able to get him to finally come out and issue a birth certificate can only help. And I will say this, one other thing. One of the big pollsters who came out with a very strong poll where I'm leading just yesterday said if you actually announced, your poll numbers would go substantially up, because a lot of people think I'm having a good time.
Why don't you announce?
I'm not having a
Why
good
don't you
time.
announce? Announce right here. Look at all these cameras.
Are you an intelligent man? Let me ask you. Are
I don't
you
know.
intelligent?
You seem to be
Have you
questioning
been
people's
listening?
intelligence, so I don't know.
No, I just don't know. Are you intelligent?
You-
Because here's the problem. I hate saying it because it sounds trivial, but I have a very, very successful show on television. The #1 show on NBC. A show that even the New York Times yesterday said is a very, very successful show. I have a show called Celebrity Apprentice.
I've heard
I
of it.
cannot announce until that show is over. Just can't do it. I'd love to do it for you, but I can't do it.
But you're here today,
When
you're
the
going to
show is
Iowa.
over, let me explain. When the show is over, and the finale will be on May 22nd. When the show is over, I will then be free to announce. I think you will be surprised at a number of things, but I think you will be surprised at what my announcement is.
Mr. Trump, just one other thing about the president. You also raised these questions about his education credentials.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to say today that all these issues should be put to the side and that you accept that Mr. Obama is who he says
No.
he is? Or do you still think there are legitimate issues to be
Everything's
raised about-
legitimate. You ask me questions that, frankly, nobody gets angry. The press doesn't get angry. Look, the press is very protective of President Obama.